If your character sheet has what? Rope, iron spikes, a steel mirror, a sack, a little oil, and you're treating it like a shopping receipt, you're leaving power on the table. Because in BX and the OSR, mundane gear matters because it lets you change the situation before the dice get mean. So here's what we're doing today. A quick way to think with your inventory. I'm going to give you a cheat sheet of common items and what they're good for. That'll be the pinned comment. So feel free to copy and paste it and print it out and put into your something into your book or your folder. And of course, what they're good for. So when play stalls, your next move isn't do I need to roll something? No. Now the usual problem is simple. Players buy gear because it's on the list, right? And then it just sits there for 10 sessions because it never came into play or they didn't know what to do with it. They never used it. Or they freeze because they're waiting for the correct button to press. Like the dungeon is a puzzle box and the GM is hiding the one right answer. And of course, you know the classics, right? The steel mirror. What's the steel mirror for? Well, to peek around corners, of course. And flour to show you where something invisible is. Okay. And those are good. But the real point is bigger than a couple of tricks. Your inventory should work like a little reminder of the options that you already pay for. When you're stuck, you glance down at your sheet, look at your inventory, and it starts suggesting ways to play it. So here's the procedure I use at my table. I don't have a name for it, so feel free to name it. It's 4 steps, and it goes pretty quickly. Step 1, name the problem in 1 sentence, and not a speech. 1 clean sentence, like we think something is watching us in this hole, or we need to cross that gap without falling, or we want to open this door without standing right in front of it. If you can't say the problem cleanly, you're going to flail and quite likely fail, right? Step 2, pick 1 item and say what you're trying to do. This is aimed at you, the player. 1 item, 1 intent. I'm using flour to show movement on the floor, or I'm using spikes to keep the door from opening. I'm using a sack to collect dust from the floor and corners. If you like, just saying I use my gear, fill in the blank, isn't an action. I need the actual action from you, the player. And then answer this question. If this works, what's different? And this is the check that keeps it grounded. If this works, what are the players expecting? We'll know where something has gone through this room. Or maybe if it's invisible, we'll find it with the flour, right? Everybody uses flour for that. If this works, the door can't swing inward. If this works, we can move without leaving obvious tracks. Okay? So again, the players need to be thinking these things out. And as a player, you're not asking for a bonus. You're asking for the situation to change. Now, this is pretty much the step 4 is aimed at the GM because your players have to pay a cost. When they're playing with their inventory, when they're playing with their gear, something should usually have a cost. Not as a punishment, okay? Because the world pushes back. So, the DM, that would be me, fix a cost. Sometimes two, but usually one will suffice. Cost and time, because dungeon turns matter. Noise. Ring that dinner bell for wandering monsters. Consumption. You used whatever it is up. Encumbrance. Well, you're carrying something awkward for a reason, right? Well, there's a risk. It might break, backfire, or create a new problem. But there should be a cost. And if you want the quickest ruling that still feels fair, if the idea is smart and specific, I usually let it work. I just make you pay for it. Whether it's time, noise, supplies, whatever fits the situation. And that's basically it, right? That's the, whatever you want to call it, the Trincarian gear chart, whatever. I don't know. But use it at any time the table starts to stall. But now let's give you a real world, a game world example, right? The party is in a dungeon corridor. There's old stone, dusty floor, door at the end. And they hear a faint scrape. And then nothing. And nobody wants to be the first one to walk down the hall. Step one, name the problem. That's on the PCs. We think there's something in this hallway we can't see, a trap, a creature, whatever. Step two, again, on the players, the PCs. Pick one item and an intent. I sprinkle a little flour low to the ground and fan it out like I'm dusting for prints. Okay. Now, what are they expecting? Step three, what changes? If this works, we'll see disturbed flower. Footprints, a drag mark, something that tells us where the threat might be. And step four, pay the cost. All right, that's on me as the DM. Good. It takes a turn. Time. And you're making a mess. If something comes through here later, they'll know somebody was here. And you'll know it too. Because there'll be fresh prints, fresh marks. And now we roll forward. Maybe the flower scuffs along the wall, like something hugged the edge. So now the party has an actual decision to make. Probe that section with a pole. Maybe it's a secret door. Maybe there's a trap. Mark the floor with chalk lines and watch for breaks or cracks. Set a noisy trip line, strings and bells, or back up and control the approach with spikes. Caltrops. Wow, right? And the retreat lines. Notice what didn't happen, okay? Nobody stood there staring at me, the DM, waiting for permission to have an idea. The idea sparked a plan, and the plan got the table moving again. And that's the vibe we want as players, as GMs. That's the most we can ask for from a game, right? Keep it moving. Keep having fun. Now, this can have some issues if you're not careful as a GM. Pitfall 1. Gear becomes an auto-win button. If every item instantly solves everything, play can turn to crap. Keep it honest with costs and consequences. What about when your players get vague? If someone says, I use rope, don't shut it down. Just ask for the missing piece. Okay, how? What are you trying to change? And then what about players trying to turn items into universal scanners? We've all seen this, right? Flower isn't sonar. A mirror doesn't see through walls. Chalk doesn't mind control monsters. Let items do reasonable things, then reward good positioning and clear intent. It's that simple. And of course, encumbrance. If you're playing with these rules, you have to ensure in my opinion, that encumbrance doesn't get ignored. The party can carry a whole hardware store with no trade-offs. Gear stops being a choice. This things, when carrying things, actually matters because then they have to make choices. Now, as a GM, right? What would I do at the table? If a player uses an item in a clever, specific way, I'm inclined to say, thumbs up, yes. And then I pick a complication that fits the world, usually time or noise. But there are other examples because it needs to stay grounded. It needs to have a cost. Because when the world feels consistent, players are a lot more willing to try things. So here's the takeaway. Don't treat gear like dead weight on the sheet. It's just options you can pull out when you need them. When the game stalls, run the inventory gear move. Somebody in the comment section will find a good name for this. Name the problem. Pick one item. Say what changes. Pay the cost. I am putting a cheat sheet of items that you can use to improvise with as a pinned comment. You can copy it, print it, hand it out to your players, keep it next to your dice as a player, whatever. And I'd like you all to drop a comment with your best mundane item win, whether it's rope, spikes, chalk, flour. Mine was always my own bladder and urine, but that's a whole other story. Whatever saved your party. Subscribe if you want more table-ready tools like this. Thank you, and God bless.